Hey guys, James here with Zombies Are Cool Painting, and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be going over the sort of first bits on how to paint some Ultramarines, which is going to be kind of cool. I painted up a bunch of Ultramarines recently for a guy I'm doing a commission for, and he requested that I start doing some tutorials on how I did them so that he can replicate the scheme for the rest of his army. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to be going with that, but also I'm going to go over a few other chapters down the road. I've had quite a few requests about, how to paint different Space Marine chapters, and even though it's sort of been done to death, I thought I'd still go over it. I'm sort of aiming to do maybe some higher level techniques, as in more high tabletop / display quality, which you don't see as much of in YouTube video tutorials. So I thought that'd be kind of good. I'll focus a bit more on that. As the series progresses, I'll be going into all sorts of things, more advanced blending techniques, and I'll be covering all sorts of interesting things, OSL, how to paint power swords, so it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and without further ado, let's jump right into things. Alright, so the first thing you need to consider when you're assembling your Space Marines is the way that you do it and how many components you leave them in. This is quite important because a lot of people just, throw everything together, and I find this really wastes a hell of a lot of time. Particularly with Space Marine heads, they're so easy to leave separate, just quickly drill a little hole in the head and you can either stick a toothpick in it if you just want a quick handle, or alternatively you can pin it to the body, whatever floats your boat. But the thing is, you can easily airbrush your head, or even if you don't have an airbrush, you can very easily just prime it a different color and slap a base coat on it really fast, and it saves a lot of time and it makes things look better. So definitely, if you've got different colored heads, I definitely recommend leaving them off the miniature. So for example here, I'm painting Ultramarines. Any of the sergeants with the red helmets, I'll leave them separate. Any of the bear heads, that are going to be skin, I'll leave them separate, etc, etc. It just makes things quicker. The only other thing is if you've got a shoulder pads, which are a different colour, sometimes I'll leave them separate, but I didn't do that for these Ultramarines because obviously they're blue, so no need to worry about that. So after we've finished with our basic assembly, I jump into our priming stage. You can use either white or black primer. There is, it doesn't make a difference because I apply a base color of blue over the entire thing. Here what I did is I used black primer, and then I went over the shoulder pads with a white primer. This is applied through the airbrush, and I used the Vallejo primers. Now the reason that I use these, the white primer on the shoulder pads, is because I'm going to be creating the white symbols on the shoulder pads, the Ultramarine symbols, and to do this I'm going to use a stencil technique. So as you can see here, I've got my little stencils. These have been cut out of Tamiya masking tape using a vinyl cutter. Now if you don't have a vinyl cutter, you can either go and try and find a store that might do this for you, or alternatively I accept commissions, or alternatively you're going to have to go out and try and acquire one. They can be pretty expensive, so your best bet is probably to have a look around locally and see if you can find a sign maker or someone who might be able to work with you. But basically you just need a thin material that is low tack that'll work as a stencil. So as you can see here, what I'm doing is I'm just chucking it down on all of my shoulder pads. It's really quite easy. I just make sure it's pressed down nicely, and once that's done we can move on to the next stage. So after that's done, what I do is I jump into the base coating, and to do this I'm going to use Minotaur Nautilus Blue over the entire miniature. And basically I'm careful when I'm going around the stencils. I just apply light layers. Don't drown the miniature in paint because you'll mess up your nice little Space Marine logo on the shoulder pad there. So after our base colour is done, what I do is I jump into my first layer of highlights, and to do this I use Lagoon Blue, again by Minotaur. Now this is applied as a sort of a general zenithal highlight. I'm applying it from above, spraying it around a 45-degree angle around the entire miniature. This is the main layer of highlights, and this is sort of the main colour of the model. This is going to cover maybe about 50%, maybe a little bit more of the power armour, and this is sort of our mid-tone, if you will. After that's all dry, I finish off with my final stage of airbrushed highlights, and to do this I use Spellsinger Blue, again by Minotaur. Like I said, this is the final layer of highlights. This is applied directly from above the miniature, and this is applied a bit more sparingly than the previous layer of highlights because I don't want the blues to look too bright, and this is for two reasons. One, it won't look like an ultramarine if it's too bright, and two, it'll detract from the edge highlighting that we're going to be doing later if the armor panels are too bright. Alright guys, so that concludes part 1 of the series of videos I'm doing on how to paint Ultramarines. Thanks for watching. I hope this is useful. Next time we're going to be launching back into it with a whole bunch of other tips and tricks for how to finish off the blue power armor and jump into some of the other detailing work. That's all from me for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.